Hypnosis is easy to do. Easiest people to hypnotize are armed forces.
What? Why?
Because they're conditioned to run at bullets. They don't
Right.
question, they run at stuff.
Yeah,
So
they're
when you
conditioned.
get them
Yeah.
hypnotized, they just do whatever you tell them. Hug your best mate, give them a kiss. They'll sit on each other's knees or lap dance. They'll do anything because they're in hypnosis and they're conditioned to not ask questions and just get stuff done.
Dave Crane is a globally recognized speaker, mentor, and the CEO of Speak on Stage. Based in Dubai for over 30 years, he has helped decision makers, CEOs, and business leaders transform from unseen and uncertain into powerful industry authorities with personal brands that drive real business results. As the creator of the Industry Icon program, Dave specializes in turning expertise into influence, helping leaders command stages, create impactful content, and position themselves as global thought leaders. He's hosted and spoken at some of the world's most prestigious events across business, tech, and sports, and has shared the stage with icons ranging from Hollywood legends to world-class entrepreneurs. Dave Crane doesn't just teach visibility, he builds icons.
Yeah, you better. Cause you want this, I want this. Everybody in this, what should have it? Stop illusions, it's in your hands. Show yourself, reveal it to them. Yeah, you better. Check the time to recognize it. You won't leave me even if I tried it. You're the artist, I'm the mess, and happily be found the new in your hands.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of Unlimited with Elisabeth Carson. Today, I'm so excited. I have been looking forward to this interview for weeks, and it's finally here. Welcome to the show, Dave Crane. So good to see you again.
Elisabeth, it's all my pleasure. When I saw you in Dubai, I knew we were going to get a chance to talk. I didn't realize you'd go halfway across the world before we had a chance to do it, but I'll take what I can.
I know, right? We didn't have much time to connect in Dubai. I know we tried to a couple times, but unfortunately, we just weren't able to meet. And now we are across the world from each other, having a conversation
Exactly.
finally.
So you can't kick me under the table on a podcast and say, don't say stuff like that anymore. We'll just have to virtually guess and get it right first time.
Right, exactly. Well, Dave, I'm very, very honored to have met you in Dubai at the Gladiator Summit. You were also a speaker. You were fantastic. And automatically, I really felt connected to you. Just so easy. You know how some spirits and souls, you just feel very easy to be around and easy to have a conversation with. So that's the way I felt about you. And so it was such a pleasure to meet you. Can you tell my audience a little bit about yourself for people that may not know?
What I mean, may not know. Nobody will know. So, all right, I'm really old, but it's all about how old you decide you want to be. I'm a Brit. I used to work for the BBC in the UK. I live in Dubai. And as you can see behind me, it's raining in Dubai and it's nighttime in Dubai and it's snowing in Dubai. So that tells you that I'm in a virtual studio. I have been involved in media for many years. As I say, I was ex-BBC when I worked in the UK 30 years ago. I decided after winning a reality TV show, which is Blind Date, I won the Christmas show and became famous overnight as a reality TV show in the early days when we only had a couple of shows, but I didn't get the spin-off I wanted. And I thought, you know what, forget it, I'm going to leave. I'm just going to go seek my fortune worldwide. So the first place that came up was Dubai, which was kind of emerging as a city at that time. I started running a sports bar with lots of entertainment built in because I was really into providing cool entertainment. And then a radio station opened up. I joined a radio station, and it was the first commercial radio station in Dubai. So I got to work with James Brown and Enrique Iglesias and the Spice Girls. I opened Planet Hollywood with Sylvester Stallone, Bruce Willis, and Patrick Swayze. And I was at the really sharp end of entertainment for about 10 years.
Wow.
And then something really strange happened. I just decided to stop. And people say, why would you stop doing radio? You're at the pinnacle. You're doing really well. And I only really did it because I wanted to prove to the people in the UK, you missed out on me being really good. And because I'd proven that and I'd done 10 years, why am I still fighting so hard to be at that position? I don't know any of the new people coming through. I don't need to prove anything to anybody. And as you know, especially nowadays, there's a thing called the Red Queen's hypothesis. Do you know this Red Queen's hypothesis? Have I shared this with you before? So the Red Queen's hypothesis is from Lewis Carroll's Alice in Wonderland. And it says, basically, you got to keep going to stay where you are. So it's like with social media or just influence, you've got to keep moving and keep producing stuff if you want to stay flat where you are, or running on a treadmill. If you stop moving, you fall off, but then all the world goes past you. And so when you want to go back in again, you got to start from scratch. So I realized later on that, I mean, I was doing big gigs. I was hosting the equivalent of a Super Bowl for about 20 years, which is Dubai Rugby Sevens. So I had like 50,000 people in the stadium and 200 million watching at home, and it was a really big event. I did loads of things like that until the pandemic came along, and the pandemic just wiped out everything. No work for about 2 years. So when I came back, I reinvented myself, which was I knew there were no speaking gigs for 2 years, but I knew how to be a celebrity. So I trained people how to be celebrities in their industry. I didn't need to be a celebrity again because I'd experienced it, and it's just an interruption. I tested it when I came off radio. I said to people, well, I just tested myself. When I came off the radio and people knew that I wasn't on the radio every day, I started getting invitations to go to places and open restaurants. And even I wasn't even on the guest list because they couldn't work out what they could do with me. So they just moved on to somebody else. And that taught me a lot about what people really think. So I now work with the Industry Icon program. I've got the Thought Leaders Network of 3,500 people worldwide, of people from the Vatican. There's millionaires, billionaires, there's students, a whole mixture of people. I teach them how to brand, how to speak on stage, and how to create multiple streams of income. I'll stop talking now.
Wow. So you really haven't done anything, have you?
Not much at all, to be honest with you. Oh, I'm a hypnotist as well.
Okay. Okay. So yeah, you really haven't done anything. Wow, that's incredible. You've lived the life of like 25 people already. Oh my gosh, that's incredible.
Well, this is the reason we became such kindred spirits, because when you stood on stage and you shared your life story, I was like, wow. Oh my goodness. What a wonderful, cool, beautiful, and smart lady who's been through a lot, but what a big smile, because she knows that the best way to move forward is to share it with the world and lead people who are having a hard time to be able to raise their game as well. And I fully respect that. That was amazing.
You know what? That means so much to me. You remember the conversation that we had? It was before I went on stage. You said that you were a speaker's coach. And I was like, oh my God, well, can you watch my speech and let me know what you think? Give me some feedback. And you know, I'm fairly new at this. I mean, I've been speaking now for probably some years, but this Dubai was honestly my, let me see, 4th keynote I have ever done. Wow. My 4th keynote. Wow. So I was like, just to get some feedback from someone like you who's been in the industry for years and years and years and actually coaches people on how to speak. When I left the stage, you were like, oh, that was great. I was like, oh my God.
Here's the thing, because it's important to be your authentic self, but it's also important to get the Wi-Fi code of the audience in front of you. If you're saying me on stage and the audience is going, who does she think she is or whatever, then you disconnect with them. But you understood straight away how to connect with your audience. Then you took them on a journey and you gave them lots of gifts that they could use that were practical, but you're always funny. And as you shared your story, everybody took a step with you at every stage. So by the time you ended speaking, everybody just wanted to say, fair play, you did a great job, and it's great to see what you're doing now. And it's really important to be able to achieve that. I see so many speakers, not really so much professional speakers, but your average conference is full of CEOs, authors, professors, or business owners who go out there and they're terrible speakers. And the only reason they get applause is because I'm hosting the event and I make sure everyone gets an applause. Or they bring their renter crowd who are there with 10,000 videos and phones and stuff, clapping for the boss. And the minute the boss finishes, they leave. Yeah. But earning that relationship with the audience is a different thing. And I would say that 10% of the speakers are capable of doing it. You easily do it. You easily get that audience to buy in and going on the journey with you. And so congratulations. I mean, I was very impressed.
Thank you so much. That really, honestly, that fills my heart up. Like, you just made my day. I'm so happy. Now I can end my day and be cool. So no.
Thank you. Goodbye. I'll just drop my microphone and go home.
No, I appreciate it, Dave. I do so much. Just, by someone that has been so successful to say that I have it, I really do appreciate it. It's
Thank
when
you.
you know that you are meant to be doing something, it's like it comes very naturally and everything, like God leads me, now at this point in my life, I see signs and synchronicities everywhere. They just fall into my life daily. And so I'm guided. I know what I'm supposed to do. So I really feel like when you fall into that, everything just opens up for you in such a beautiful manner. Have you found that about, your life and all your successes?
Well, you're absolutely right. And I was trying to work this out the other day, that what happens is I've been going through a number of different stages where it's almost like domino effect, where one thing finishes just as another one opens, but you've still got to make a decision to move on. I've been on stage for about I started on stage when I was 3 years old. So I've done 50 years plus on stage. So I've done everything, winning reality TV shows, running radio stations, everything. And so what you find is you're not doing it for the applause or the accolades. You're doing it because it keeps you active. And I've got to a stage now where you won't be at that stage yet. Well, you may be, but I found that for the next chapter of my life, I don't want to be the star. I want to be the mentor. I want to be the person that helps other people. I don't have to shine so bright. I don't have to compete with people the same way as before. But what I can do is people want to really raise their game and be really good at it. I've got enough knowledge to be able to do it. So literally, last week I was hosting an event called Sigma. It's a really big IT and fintech event in Dubai. And two of the people on stage had been working with me. One of them watched me speaking about 4 years ago. And when he saw me about 4 years ago, he was wearing a suit. He had short hair, bit oversized. I was talking as usual about reinventing himself and becoming a thought leader and so on. He came up to me this weekend. He was speaking and hosting. And he looked completely different. He had long hair, shoulder length hair. He had a really bright jacket on with lots of different colors. And he said, "You made me." I went, "What, do I owe you money?" He said, no. He said, "Everything that you said on stage, I took to heart." He said, "I bought your book. I've got your book at home and it's on my desk at home." And he said, "I read every part of it. I now travel around the world speaking." He said, "When you spoke to me, I resigned from my job as a GM for a company that was doing payment gateways. It took me about 6 months to 9 months to build my own business going, but now I'm the key figurehead of that. We've been valued now at £8 million.
Wow.
So it's worth £8 million going from a good salary, but to this, and he's loving what he does and he travels the world. And so I get a lot from that because it means that you often don't know who you're helping because you see an audience and you move on, but it's important to leave everybody better off than they were when you first found them. And so that's how I deal with it.
Wow, that's incredible. This guy quit his whole life and started a whole new one because of you. That's wow. That's that is
And he didn't
pretty.
try and sue me and say, "You owe me. I've been sleeping in my car for like 2 years." None of that stuff.
Well, you know what? It's amazing. I mean, you're spreading a lot of light in the world. So I joined your group, your WhatsApp group, and that's the most active group that I'm in, to be honest. And I'm in lots of groups with thousands and thousands of people. But all night and all day, I see the messages pop. I'm like, there goes Dave's group again. So how long did it take you to build something like that? And how did you come up with the idea to do that? Because your group, I mean, it's so much good information in there. I always have to catch up, like,
Thank you. That's really kind for you to say so. So here's how what I did. Well, after the pandemic, as a speaker and as a guy who's training people to speak and hosting gigs all around the world, I'd never worried about work. The phone would always ring. I'd get a booking in a week's time. Fun, done, no problem. But then I went for 2 years without real work. So I went online. I did 200 live shows just like this on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube, and various other platforms. And when it was over and things had started happening again, I realized that I had effectively not imposter syndrome, which I had as well anyway, most of us do. I had anxiety and depression without knowing it. So what I'd done is I'd gone on work every day. I was working 16-hour days, 7 days a week to try and get clients who wanted to raise their game who would work with me. But I didn't realize that it was a very similar thing to going to war, because you're constantly on edge all the time.
Right.
And so to come down off the back of it, I kind of had PTSD, which is about, how do you feed your family? How do you pay your rent? How do you look after your dogs? How do you pay for your car loans? All this stuff. And so one of the things I thought as a remedy to dealing with it, there's two I'll share with you. I think the second one will be really useful for you as well. First one, I thought, right, I can't find a community that's going to help me, because I don't want to go to the equivalent of Samaritans or somebody, I don't know what it is in America, where you turn around and say, hi, I feel terrible, can you help me? I didn't want that to happen. I didn't want to spill my guts and spend time like that. I thought, why don't I just build a community of people who are like-minded, who we can build it on love and respect, but I will give them a gift. I'll give them how to speak, how to brand, and how to boost your career. So I created a group called Turbocharge Your Career, and I invited everybody to join. We got about 200-300 people in there, and I did courses with them all the way. And then about 6 months ago, that was about over 2 years I did it. 6 months ago, I decided that I wanted to upgrade it and create the Thought Leaders Network. And so with that, I just got onto that group, added more people from LinkedIn, and also created a brand new network. We've got about 8 or 9 different rooms, some of them for mastermind groups, some of them for as an agency I run for speakers. Another one is a faculty of people who are really heavy lifters who are there to support and help our group. And there's a whole range of different people in that group. That's how I built it.
There are so many people that try to build groups and they're unsuccessful at it. So I just see yours being so successful. So can you give us like 3 tips on how someone could do that if they want to build their own group and own community? I mean, it's very difficult. I found it even difficult for me personally. So
no worries. And then let's return to the second thing I was going to say about the pandemic, which is about creating a new version of you for imposter syndrome, because I think that's a really important point as well. So to build the group, first thing I did was I wanted to make sure that everybody who joins is able to get something from it. So I cherry picked the right people who were the right demographic, who weren't actually trying to waste time or just plug their own products. They all need to plug their products, but there's no point doing it if people aren't looking for it. If you just spam, then people just get turned off and they leave. So that was the first thing, making sure the right people came in. The second thing is to make it a safe space. I don't let anybody abuse anybody for any reason. If they do, they get a warning or they get kicked out. Same as spammers. So when everyone talks to each other, it's got to be with love and respect. And I'm not an idiot. I know what conversations are like. I've been on stage and entertainment for many years. I know when people are being naive, and I know when people have to help, and I'm very nurturing to make sure that I give people the benefit of a doubt so they get the very best out of it. So I make sure it's a safe space. And that means that we also, and I mentioned it today in today's post for everybody, which is about how do you basically lose a room in 7 seconds? You talk about religion, you talk about politics, you talk about gender politics, you talk about how rich you are, you talk about, why you're morally better than anybody else in the room. All those things make people go, not interested. But they also can guarantee that even if you're talking to a group of people and you think they're all on your side, if one person gets upset and they start arguing with you and you argue back, which is not good for everybody, but then they burst into tears, you've lost a room. So it's very important to make sure that you have nobody talking about divisive subjects and you keep it on track. We want everyone to make money. I want everyone across the finishing line with a great brand, able to speak and got happiness in their lives. That's it.
Right.
And the other thing I do is I make sure that we're consistent. I don't leave them for long periods of time apart from on a weekend. I don't want to post and answer stuff on a Saturday. That's my one day off, which was very important after the pandemic. My wife said to me, "You're not working Saturdays." I said, "I have to work Saturdays." She said, "No, you need to take a day that's yours." So Saturday, I even talk to her. So I'll make sure that every day I've got something in there. And I've actually got a podcast I do. Have you seen the podcast I do?
No.
It's called Max and Me, and it's me in my car after I've dropped my daughter off at school. I dial up on my phone my ChatGPT. So I've got Max, which is a curated personality that I've got there that knows about personal development and speaking, all the rest of it. And I have a chat with my phone in the car and record it on a
Mhm.
camera. So I'll sit there for 15, 20 minutes and debate all sorts of stuff. So whatever I post in the morning as a question to the group, I chat with my AI about it, and we
Mhm.
do a mini podcast about it to post later in the day.
I think
And
you
so
told
it
me
goes
about that. You did. You told me in Dubai. I was like, this is an amazing idea. So you launched it.
Yeah, I've done it. We've got episode 14 went up today. And I do
Oh,
it whenever I
amazing.
drop my daughter off at school because I sit in traffic. I
Mhm.
just fix it up and we have a chat. And it's really enlightening. And it also, the arrangements you've got to go through to make content. Like we're chatting now, but it's taken us about 3 or 4 weeks to actually be in the same room, virtual room at the same time. Well,
Right.
you just plug your camera in, switch on your phone, brief your AI about what we're going to talk about, and you go
Mhm.
for it. You'll have to have a
Mhm.
listen to it. You'll see exactly what I'm talking about. It's actually quite exciting. It's the future. So
Yeah.
there we are. So I
Wow.
would say those things are important.
That's crazy. You just proved to the entire world that you don't need anything to start. Nothing. You don't need anything. You literally need a phone. That is it. No excuses. I love that. That's incredible.
And you
Wow.
need another camera, otherwise you're just talking to yourself in the car and people think you're a little mental. So you need to make sure you record the evidence to say, I'm not just having a talk to my seat because I've got no real friends.
Right, exactly. Looking crazy. So, okay, you were saying that to recreate yourself after the pandemic, I think a lot of people had to do that. So, what about you?
So here's the thing, because I'm a hypnotist and a coach and a business coach, I know that the most important thing to do with anything is if you're stuck and you're not sure what comes next, ask yourself better questions. So asking yourself a difficult question means, and you get a terrible answer. So if you say, why am I fat? Your brain will say to you, because you eat too much food, you lazy person, you don't exercise. But if you say, how can I get thinner? It'll say, oh, well, this is what you have to do, this, and this. And so it'll start giving you better answers. So when I was stuck, when we'd come through the pandemic, I started getting inquiries for speaking and hosting again. So what I did was I started replying, but the problem was the damage that happened to me, just my confidence and everything was really difficult after the pandemic. So I realized that I wasn't ready to deal with clients. Normally, if a client books me, what happens is they pay in advance before we speak. It's the only way I'll do it. Otherwise, I'm not going to book it. And so that was what I normally did. But after the pandemic, I didn't want to lose the client. So I'd do whatever they wanted to do. And sometimes they canceled last minute because of the fact that they had the boss got COVID. And so they had to not do it. So I thought, this is not going to work. I'm not in a position to be able to go back to what I was doing before. So then I thought, well, why don't you see if there's a better way of being yourself? So what I came up with is 3 different versions of you. First one, you'll know. Second one, you know as well. First one is a birth certificate version of you. So when you're born, you've got a birth certificate and it's got your full name on. So my name's David Maxwell Crane, and that goes on my birth certificate. I went to school as David Maxwell Crane. Teachers would call me David Crane. My friends would shorten it to Dave Crane. So that's the first version. The second version of you is what you put in your social media or your business card. So I went from David Maxwell Crane to Dave Crane. So that's the second version of me. And that's the one that was basically trying to answer all the questions from the clients. But the problem was that Dave Crane had been damaged because of the challenges of the pandemic. And I thought you need to be a better version. Where's the best version of you that you haven't tapped into? And I thought, what about when you hold a microphone? When you got a microphone, you go out in front of an audience and you own the audience. So whether it's 50,000 people or it's a live broadcast, you can work out the timing, the conversations, the music. You can instruct people. You make about 20 different calculations like that, and you're always right, and you never get bullied because you know what you're doing. You've done it for many, many years. So I thought, well, why don't I hand that version of my life, and get him to make the business decisions for me? So I decided to call that version of me Max. And so when a client will asked for an inquiry for me to send a proposal, I asked Max in my head, and I'm thinking there's 5 people there. There's not. I was acting as if Max is real. So I said to Max, what should I do with this client, because I don't want to lose a client? And Max suggested to me, why don't you put on the proposal, this is open only for 48 hours? I thought that's a really good idea, because after 48 hours, if it hadn't got back to me, then they're probably not going to get back to me. I know they have to talk to their bosses or the board of directors, whatever, to book it. So I thought, okay, I'll do that. It's a really good idea. And when I put that on the proposal, I ended up with maybe about 25% of things closed straight away. And the rest of them were going to come back or not, but I didn't worry about them anymore.
Yeah.
So I didn't want to kill Max's suggestions, but I wanted to be open to that. And so I tested it with a number of different questions, and he came back with some brilliant ideas. And I thought, wow, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to be Max. So I am now Max. The only time I'm not a Max is with my family, because I think it's unfair. But now I live like that. So I that version of me is me now. I'm not going to say I'm fearless, but I don't worry about anything. So here's the difference. In my entire career, I always used to wait for people to notice me and help me. I don't do that anymore. So I went to a big business breakfast about 3 years ago, and I was chatting to some people in the room. I said to one guy, "What do you do?" He said, "I'm a Swiss banker. I'm based in Zurich." I said, "Okay, so what kind of things have you got coming up?" He said, "Well, we're going to be speaking at Davos. We're going to run the African hub." I said, "You need an MC, don't you?" He went, "Yes." I said, "Fantastic. I'll send him my details. We'll work it out this afternoon. I'll go over." So I got that gig just because I would never have done this before. Max asked him for the gig. So I went and I did the gig. It was fantastic. And there I met the guys from the Vatican and various other people, and they became my clients as well. And so now this whole thing, I would never, as Dave Crane, have created a Thought Leaders Network.
Wow.
But Max would. Why not? Why not? What have you got to hide? And so what I wanted to share with you, and I know you've reinvented yourself several times as well. I'm saying to the people who are listening, when are you at your best? Are you at your best when you're on a computer? Are you at your best when you're at work, when you go into that zone, when you're playing sports? Imagine that version of you had a name and you could switch it on, and he gave that person the running of your life.
Yeah.
So it can run and make decisions all the time for you. Most of us only switch it on when we're allowed. But what if you could have it all the time? It's like with Superman and Clark Kent. Which one's the real one? Is he really Superman or is he Clark Kent? Is he pretending to be same as Batman and Bruce Wayne? You don't have to just be your best when you got work to finish. Why not just let that person run everything in your life?
Yeah.
Because it's natural and nobody will know. Nobody will care, but you'll be massively productive, massively happy, and you won't put up with anybody's rubbish anymore.
Yeah. Woo! Mic drop. Oh my gosh. Wow. No, that is so right. That's so true. I literally had this experience similar. It was very similar, Dave. It was not the same, but after my divorce, after we separated, it was like, going through divorce is one of the most triggering things that anyone could go through in life, right? You go from like, there's a thin line between love and hate. That line's very thin. So, you're at each other. So I was getting so triggered all the time, and it was very, very difficult for me. And I found myself not wanting to fall into my emotion all the time and react and be a victim to my circumstances. And I'm like, no, I'm a powerful creator, architect of my life. So I was moving. I would put my hands on my heart and I would say, what would my higher self do? And I would move as my higher self last year during the most triggering, hard experience that I've probably consciously gone through. So that alone created future ripples in my reality to create this magical life that I'm living these days, because I didn't fall victim to victimhood, and I didn't succumb and let the emotions run my life. I let God, source, universe, spirit, higher self run my life. So that's kind of similar to Max,
Very
right?
similar. It's very similar. You decide what the source of your energy is, but the programming is the same. So I did energy healing. I did pranic healing. And whenever you do pranic healing and energy healing, and by the way, I only do stuff if I can prove it works. And if it doesn't work, then it's mumbo jumbo. I'm not interested. So stage hypnosis, people go, oh, it's not true. Yes, it is true. It really works. You can make people hump furniture if you get them hypnotized and take them to IKEA. Change the subject. But so when it comes to stuff like energy healing, if you use the same technique, it will work regardless of what you use as a way of getting to it. So for instance, you can say to somebody in the gym, push as hard as you can do, and then like take a break, then push as hard as you can do. And resistance training and breaking your muscles down will allow you to then build your muscles bigger. Or you can say, if you do it, then you'll become a magical person and blah, blah, blah. It doesn't matter what you tell them. As long as they go through the exercises, science will pick it up and make it work.
Yeah.
And so it doesn't matter whether I come from my side, where it's talking about Max, or you've got your creative side and you've got your spiritual results. The only thing that matters is, does it work for you?
Yeah.
And if the answer is yes, happy days.
Right. Exactly. Wow. Okay. So let's dive into hypnotism now, because you mentioned that you can get people to hump furniture, and I'm curious. So talk to me about it, because you know what, Dave, let me be honest with you. So back when I was, I think I was early 20s, maybe I was 19 or something, 18. I went to a hypnotist to try to quit smoking cigarettes. I was a cigarette smoker for 16 years. And it didn't really do anything. So I was like, well, this is different. And then I went to another hypnotist session, and that was a past life regression session. And I saw some stuff, kind of, but I'm not really sure. So tell me about hypnotism and how you do it and how it works and why it really, I don't think it's ever worked for me.
Okay. All right. So here's the thing. Hypnosis has been going back to 3,000 years ago. The ancient Egyptians used to use it. We used to create houses of sleep that put people into a trance state, and we do operations on them, and it would work. And the only reason we don't have hypnosis as a regular thing that everybody uses is during the turn of not the last century, but the previous century, there's a guy called James Esdale, who was a missionary, Scottish guy in India. And he's watching the guys who are able to perform miracles and all sorts of things, these religious swamis doing operations and all sorts. And he thought, this is amazing. And he learned how to hypnotize people so they'd be in a trance state, and then he could do stuff with them. Went back to the UK. He said, I've learned this incredible way of being able to do medicine for people. And the medical board, which had just at that time invented ether, ether, chloroform, you knock people out like this.
Yeah.
They said, well, that's interesting, but we've already got a remedy for this. Now, the thing with ether is if you put the same amount of it on a small guy, you might kill him, and you might not even make a big guy go to sleep. So it killed a lot of people before it got to a stage and became addictive as well. So James Esdale said, well, I don't really want to do this. I want to be a missionary. So he went back and did his missionary work. That's why we don't have hypnotists on a corner. We have pharmacists on the corner.
Wow.
Because there's money in the pharmaceutical industry, whereas with hypnosis, all hypnosis is self-hypnosis. So you heal yourself, but it's often like a brain surgeon. You might be a great brain surgeon, but if you start going like that, you will fall over and the jelly bit will fall out. So you can't do that. So you can do self-programming, and that's very powerful. So let's go to your two situations. I've helped lots of people to stop smoking. I'm not a practicing hypnotherapist anymore. I did for a large period of time. And so my late dad, I stopped him smoking on his 60th birthday, which is almost the same age I'm heading towards soon. And he'd been smoking for 30 plus 40 odd, I think it was 47 years. He'd been smoking.
What?
And so he'd been smoking maybe 20 a day, and he wanted to live longer for my mum's sake. So he wanted me to stop it. And so I went to stay with him and my mum. They were living in the West Indies at the time, had left the UK. And I hypnotized him. And what you do with hypnosis to change somebody's relationship with a challenging behavior is you go to what's called the initial sensitizing event. When did they first feel the emotions that they feel when they do that thing? So if you're smoking, the odds are you're smoking because it makes you feel relaxed, and it makes you feel happy, and it makes you feel okay. And it's often because you want to fit in or something like that. Because, you might not remember them now, but you remember the emotions you get. So what, as a hypnotist, I would do is take you back to the first time you felt those emotions. And I'd take you back through all those different times. And for smokers, it's usually first time with friends at school, chilling out, somebody grabs a cigarette, somebody else does it at the same time, and it's about being cool. And so we're all cool together. Don't like it. And that then anchors, I feel cool when I'm doing it, and you continue to do it. But there's also a thing called a secondary gain. And the secondary gain is sometimes we do things that are really bad for us because it has a little win in it. So for instance, when you smoke cigarettes and you know it's bad for you, the little win is, yes, but I get to relax for 2 minutes. And your brain says, or your subconscious mind says, if you don't get that little win, you're going to get really stressed and really angsty, and you're going to bite everybody around you. So just have the cigarette. We'll deal with all the rest later. And that's why people continue to smoke. So with my dad, I took him back to the initial time when he was first smoking. And the feelings he had was he was scared, he didn't feel happy, and he was 3 years old. His big sister was 5 years old. It was after the Second World War, and food and cigarette coupons were rationed in Britain. His mum wanted cigarette coupons, and so she sent the 2 little kids to go up to strangers and try and hand over food coupons to swap them for cigarette coupons. So my dad was going over, not knowing who anybody is, scared, ridiculous, going up and trying to do this. After that, he got a relationship in his mind with cigarettes and started smoking cigarettes. For his 13th birthday, he remembered being given a cigarette case by his mum. And all the time through, he was smoking all the way through. Now, the caveat for his mum is, it used to be that cigarettes were good for kids. They're actually advertised for kids back in the day and everybody else. Now we've got laws that say they're really bad for everybody. You still look a bit cool, but you stink funny. So when I took my dad back to that, remember, my dad is in hypnosis, so he's like this. When I said to him, how does it feel? Because he was there again. I detached him, so he's watching a scene in his mind of a little boy walking around. So by being detached, he doesn't feel the emotions the same way as if he was actually that little boy, because then it's too much. So when he was looking at what was going on, he realized the little boy was scared. So I said, go over and give him a hug and talk to him. So I gave him a cushion so he could just hold the cushion with his eyes closed. He hugged the little boy, and the little boy cried because he'd been carrying all this for what, 47 years? My dad cried. My mum had never seen him cry. So he held on to the small version of him and he cried it all out. I mean, I said, no more the tough little soldier, get rid of it. Get rid of it until you feel better. And eventually he felt better. And I said, tell the little boy, you don't want to smoke anymore now because you love your wife. And let him know I'm getting emotional now because my dad's passed during COVID. Let him know that you've got a beautiful wife and you want to stop smoking because you want to be there for her in the future. And so we went through all the sensitizing events for his life. Every time I said, right, let's move forward to the next time that you felt the being lonely, being upset, being on your own. And then we just talked it through. My grown-up dad talked to that version and then the next version until he came back to being 60 years old. I brought him out of it and he never smoked another cigarette again.
Wow. Whew. That is so powerful.
Amazing.
Wow. So I see so many different things here. You know, I've done so many different modalities in my life to really just expand consciousness, etc. And rest in peace to your dad, by the way. But
He's not listening, he's dead, but carry on.
So many different things here. So what I first noticed is that I always tell people, in order to get to the root issue of things, you have to get into your subconscious to really reprogram and start rewiring. And so what I saw that you probably did is you dropped your dad down from high beta, alpha into theta, because theta, there is no emotion there. It's only pictures, right? There's no emotions inside of theta. So you're able to see from a perspective without feeling the trauma of the actual event. And you brought your dad all the way back to the very first time that he felt these emotions, which is what you do. Yes.
So as you see this, as you go deep into it, here's your mind. So if you imagine this, a wavy line is like the water of the sea. And so above the surface, like an iceberg, you've got all the things that you can normally tap into. So you've got willpower, short-term memory, your critical decision-making, and your logical decision-making. That's your conscious mind. Below the surface is where the real engine stuff lives. So you got your unconscious mind. Most of it's your actual subconscious mind. The unconscious mind deals with your beauty sleep, but your habits, your beliefs, your long-term memory, the protective factor that keeps you safe, your emotions, your values, your imagination and senses are all below the surface. You can't normally access them, but when you go into hypnosis, this triangle turns upside down. Your normal willpower and short-term memory disappears, but you can access memories and go into your subconscious mind properly. Now, this happens whenever you go into the zone. Whenever you go into a zone when you on your computer till 4 o'clock in the morning, and you go, wow, I've finished an amazing piece of work, and you go, wow, what's 4 o'clock? Or it happens when you're playing sports. There's a number of different times it kicks in. And the superconscious mind is your link to all things. So I'll put The Secret there, because when I made this diagram, it was 8,000 years ago, and everyone's talking about The Secret. But when you talk about spiritual beliefs and so on, that's the link to all things. So this is a kind of snapshot about where things are and how you access them, if that makes sense to you.
Wow, I love that. That was really freaking cool. I feel like I'm in school now. I love that. I need that graphic. That was awesome. That was awesome. No, it's such powerful work. Well, I understand why hypnosis would work. You have to be so talented at getting people into those brainwave states to have them open up enough to be able to really like dig in there. And then also you were doing IFS, right? I mean, internal family, or it's parts work. I think internal family systems is called. So it's parts work. So you revisit the little yous and the teenage yous and the 20s yous. And sometimes I'll do that, Dave, right here. And I'll just be like, it's okay. Sometimes I'll just go in and give myself hugs and talk to those parts of ourselves, because
it's hard to do on your own because you're aware that you're doing it. And so your conscious mind is going, are you all right there? And so it's easy when it's done in a trance state and you've got somebody who's helping you. Hypnosis is easy to do, right? It's not difficult. But what you need is somebody who knows how to deal with things when things go wrong. So for instance, when I do a stage show and I bring people on stage who I don't know, I hypnotize them, and some people are great at doing it, some people are not great to do it. By the way, the easiest people to hypnotize are armed forces.
What? I mean,
you know why?
Why?
Because they're conditioned to run at bullets. They don't question, they run at stuff.
Yeah,
so when you get them hypnotized, they just do whatever you tell them. Hug your best mate, give them a kiss. They'll sit on each other's knees or lap dance. They'll do anything because they're in hypnosis and they're conditioned to not ask questions and just get stuff done. Yeah. And so, I mean, hypnosis is easy to do. And I'm going to let you into a secret that's going to maybe offend a few people. Hypnosis is everywhere. It's conditioned by the politicians to make you shout stuff back at them. It's conditioned when you hear your favorite song and suddenly change your mood. And whether you're a spiritual person or not, it's used to get people to go into a trance state, because then you can tell people what to do.
Yes.
So when I do a stage show and I'm on there and I've got people in the audience and I put them into hypnosis and get them to do stuff, there's not a lot of difference with an induction towards me standing on a stage as a priest or as an imam and getting people to pray. The same process, the Lord's Prayer, is the same as an induction or a call to prayer. You change the state, you go into the subconscious mind, and it really depends what you want to do with people after that. Because you believe that the person up there is speaking on behalf of the person upstairs. Why? Because you're in trance.
Yeah.
Same as when you're doing a show.
Gotcha. You know what's really crazy? You're so right about there's conditioning everywhere with politicians, et cetera, et cetera. Actually, I just saw a post this morning that I want to read because it super relates. So Kanye West was just at Lakewood Church on live TV. I don't know if you've heard about this, but he said publicly this morning, protect your kids because the entertainment industry puts images and symbolism in their movies and TV shows to make them stop thinking for themselves and make it easier for them to accept everything they watch.
That's true. He's not wrong. I worked with Kanye West. I did a gig with Kanye West in Dubai.
You did. Yeah. I think he's an awakened soul that is just out here, doing the media.
It's like a different soul.
Really? Oh man.
No, here's the thing. Look, and I know he's got troubles and all sorts of it, but you have to respect that you leave people better off than they were when you first found them. And if you're in a position of influence, it's your job not to punch down on people, and it's your job not to get whatever's going on with your life and make it look like everybody's going to carry it for you. And there's a lot of people who were hurt by the stuff he was doing. And okay, you can use the excuse, well, he needs to go to a therapist for a couple of thousand years. But I don't think that's a get out of jail free card for anybody just because you've seen the light and you've started saying the right things. You know, renounce everything you've said, or even better, don't say it. There's a lot of people who will be brought to task. And here's the thing, you're an influential person. You're on social media. Everybody loves you. They all follow you. You know what you choose to share with people could get out, be the wrong way. It could have you cancelled and unforgiven, even if it's taken out of context.
Yes.
It doesn't matter. So you got to be super careful. And so, you know, I think that the unfortunate world we're in right now, here's the thing. I'm gonna do some more education stuff. Do you mind?
Please. I love this. Please.
Are you aware of the dark triad?
The dark triad. I think I've heard, but no.
Okay, so the dark triad is a mindset thing. I found it in a conversation. I deep dove into it to find out. So the dark triad is a mindset thing, which has narcissism, which is loving yourself all the time, being self-obsessed. It's got Machiavellianism, which is manipulating other people to do exactly what you want them to do. And it's got psychopathy, which is being a psycho, not caring what happens to anybody else and just making sure that you're okay. And it's a very dark triangle that many leaders have. I won't mention any names, but many leaders have now, and many leaders have in the past, like Napoleon and so on. And so you're wondering, why do they do that? Well, it leads to, first of all, it empowers them to be very strong leaders because they don't care about anybody else. They're massively charismatic, and also they manipulate people and play games, and they see these games really easily, and so they become natural at doing it. They don't last very long because what happens is democracy, or the small people are able to turn around and get systems that say we're not doing this anymore, and they get kicked off. And that's happened in history. I'm not making that up. That's just a thing. So I looked into that and I thought, oh, there must be an antidote to that. And there is an antidote. It's called the light triad. What that is the ability to want to do the opposite to that. So you believe in good for everybody, you believe in helping others, and you believe that humanity is a good place to be because everybody has good inside them. Now, here's the thing. You've got your dark triad on one side, got to go like that, and you've got your light triad on the other side. And I would lean towards light. I know I've got the dark side, but I don't use it because I just think the consequences are wrong, and I've got a position where I've got to help people. But to be a real human being, for me, there must be a middle ground. I was trying to find a name for it because there was no name for this. There's 2 books on dark and light. So I called it the true triad. I was chatting to my GPT about it today. And the true triad is that you are very driven to be successful and powerful, but you don't hurt people on the way. You support them when you can. And if they're not up for it, that's their problem. So there is a middle ground. And I really believe that as a thought leader and leading thought leaders, you should be finding the side that works for you. And there's no harm in being a bit dark and a bit light, or even a bit true. We're all human beings, but it's a fascinating thing to realize that exists.
Yes. Dang, I just love this conversation. Do you know that I was just talking to somebody about this a couple weeks ago, literally, but not the triad. I didn't know the triad, right? So it was like in different terms. So we were having the conversation, and she was like, I need to learn from you. It's my spiritual advisor. So she has no ego. Like, she's literally like a fairy, just wanting to love everybody. She has not one mean bone in her body. She's just the most
literally a fairy.
You know, I think she might be like, I think she might have some stuff going on for sure. I mean, she can see things. It's really wild. Like her talents are beyond anything I've ever experienced in my life. But she was telling me,
be a fairy then.
Yeah, I think so. I think so. So she was saying that she needs to learn from me because to really become successful in this dimension as humans, you need to have both ego and spiritual, right? Love and ego, but it needs to have a fine balance, because if you're all in love and light, then there is no visibility. Like there is no drive to, hey, I have this message for you. It's just, let me love, they're present and just full
The
of
world
love.
doesn't reward that. The world's brutal.
Yes, exactly. So you have to have that fine balance of this. Like you have to have that. And I feel like it's almost the same thing. And then you really made me reflect too, Dave, about I have all of the qualities. And I'm not afraid to admit it. I don't lean towards dark often because exactly like you said, I know the consequences and it's not even about the consequences. I just don't want that,
Do you know about character intelligence?
No, tell me, teach me.
So
Let me learn.
you know about IQ and EQ. Let me just refresh on IQ and EQ for anybody who doesn't know. So IQ is intellectual quotient. It's the idea that that's what you go to school to learn. You're smart, you get your degree, you get a job, and the smarter you are, the more likely you are to have a job that rewards you for being smart.
Yeah.
But EQ is emotional intelligence.
Yeah.
So that's not about how you think, which is IQ, is about how you feel. And how you feel is a better way to actually navigate your way around the world, because that helps you create relationships, and you do things in business because you can manipulate and understand and translate what they are feeling. Do they feel right to buy this? Do I need to work on it? So you don't have to be with high IQ to have strong EQ, but they made a point of teaching companies and CEOs EQ. So parrot fashion, you can see how much EQ your boss has. Do they understand that their work has consequences? Are they reading the way their team feels? All this stuff, and you can train to get all that stuff. So that's normal. But then there's character intelligence, which these are new things. That's why I'm talking about them, because I'm very excited about them. So character intelligence is, what do you do under pressure that means sacrificing something to make something else work? So, for instance, we all have to make decisions about, I'd love to spend more time with my family, but I've got to go to work. Character intelligence will tell you, okay, well, go to work, but I'll make the weekends really special. But what happens when you've got to sacrifice something more substantial right now? So you and I, for instance, we wanted to hook up in Dubai and do a podcast, but you were busy and I had other things. So we went, okay, we will put a pin in it and we'll definitely do it. We'll do it online. Now, that's not a terribly good example, but here's the thing. You can measure people's character intelligence. One of the things that measures it is grit. You know, grit, which is the ability to keep working at it. And of all the qualities that people have to be successful, who you're connected to, how hard you work, whether you're good looking or you're rich or you're super smart, just keep going and learn as you go will get you to where you need to be. And that's been proven by scientists, by whatever. It's called grit. It's worth looking up. Grit is part of character intelligence. So the question is, why have we not heard of character intelligence? Why is it when you go onto YouTube and you say character intelligence, there's not a single video for it? Why don't we teach it to companies? Because when you measure somebody's emotional intelligence, you get a score and ways that they can improve. When you measure somebody's character intelligence, you find out that half of your team couldn't give a monkeys about you if push came to shove, and they'd stand over you and they'd walk past you, because in a crisis they don't care. So who really wants to know that about their team?
Right.
That's why it's not a course. That's why we don't teach it to most companies, because character intelligence, bizarrely enough, is the one trait. Forget emotional intelligence, forget intellectual quotient. It's the one that creates trust with people. When you use all the things involved in character intelligence, people trust you and they buy into you and they want to help you. Character intelligence includes values.
Yeah.
What do they stand for? And they might not even know what their values are because they've never been in that situation before. And so you have to be tested under duress. You know how many friends you can turn around to and say, that person will be there for me regardless. I know that they're going to be there. You and I have only met, but you know that if you needed to say, Dave, can you? I'd probably say yes.
Yeah.
And that's because I wear my values. I share, I do that stuff. And I feel the same way about you. And here's the thing. it's a really important thing for people to cultivate and understand, because otherwise all they're doing is just putting labels on that don't really drive those relationships the same way. It means that you see smart people, you see people who do understand emotions, but you and I know, we know very smart people who are able to understand emotions, but you wouldn't trust them to go shopping.
Yeah.
They're very powerful, but I don't think they'd bring my change back. They'd just
Right.
take the money and go. So
Uh-huh.
character intelligence is a really important part of this.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm going to study this now. You see, I love these type of conversations because I like, I love learning, and you just opened my brain up to being able to study something brand new. So I'm really going to look into this, and I'm going to make my entire team take the character test.
You'll lose half of them. Here's the thing. When you do something like this with people, be prepared for what you get out of it. If they're doing their job and they're okay and there's no issues, why would you want to or need to do that? You don't need to do that. It's up to you. I'm not saying don't do anything. It's just that be careful what you look for. That's the only thing. You should definitely study it and understand it. That's really important. With my network, I've got a membership group that I train every week. And so I introduced them to character intelligence. And what I did was I put together with my GPT a questionnaire for them to self-test and see if they've got high character intelligence. Talk to your GPT and ask it to put together 10 questions to test somebody's character intelligence and give that to your team. And if you find someone's got low CQ, it's not even CQ, because CQ or CI is cultural intelligence. It's already owned. So you have to probably just call it, character intelligence. Give them that. And if they fail, get rid of them. No, don't.
No, you're speaking my language. No, I'm just joking. I'm just joking. Dang, this has been amazing, Dave. I love you. I wish that we would have had a chance to connect in Dubai.
But I've lived here for 30 years. And I've never seen a situation where I'm going, I hate this, because it's always bright in the morning. It's always dark on the night. And there's air conditioning everywhere. So if you're wearing a full suit and you're walking around in the street, you're going to get a bit hot. But otherwise, you go from car to building to corridor to whatever. It's perfectly fine.
I love it. I love it there. That energy. So in America, right? As soon as I even landed, it feels like there's a weight on top of me, right? And then it also feels like as I'm trying to accomplish goals and work, it's like resistance. It's like I'm like trying to, But in Dubai, it was like whoosh. Like I just had help from everywhere and everyone, and just so supportive and loving and just, it's very different.
200 nationalities, all there to make sure that everybody stays there. And so you see people married to somebody completely different to their nationality, and you don't know, you don't care. You just say, where are you from? Oh, that's interesting. My wife's from Singapore. I would never have met her in the UK. But here, most of my friends are married to a different nationality, and nobody knows, nobody cares. And when you meet them, that's interesting. Where are you from? Oh, good. And so the conversations are very different. Plus, one of the things about Dubai is, they don't have politics. The guys who run it are really smart. So they've got plans up to 2071. They know exactly what's going to happen year by year. And they're bringing the best practitioners from across the globe to be able to come in and do it. So Will Smith's opening up a movie studio over there. Elon Musk is opening up a big, well, he was opening up, I don't know what he's doing in space now, a artificial intelligence place there. And OpenAI were going to put their headquarters in Dubai. And part of the deal they did with Dubai's government, or was it UAE? I'm not sure. UAE is the country, Dubai is the city, is they're going to give free ChatGPT Plus to every citizen. So the guys working on construction sites can talk to their phones and start their business and boost their own success. The whole country just lifts when you don't punch down on people, and everyone has a great time. And don't get me wrong, the economics are there. It's not cheap to stay there, but if you do it right, you've got a job. And so, but you live in a world where it's safe, and people are happy.
Yes, exactly. And that is very different, very, very different from the situation and energy over my way now, especially with these crazy files that have just been released and all of these people involved. It's like, I just want to leave. Like, I just want to get out of here. I can't wait to come back. I can't wait.
Well, I was a BBC journalist in the UK, and when I moved to Dubai, I didn't want to pay attention to the news, and I didn't pay attention to the news for 20 years. And then international politics, I won't mention who it was or what it was, started me paying attention. And now I've gone back into my own little zone of, you know what? It is what it is. You can't change the way the world is. By the way, the world normally goes through changes over about 100, 150 years. It's not going to snap back whatever happens. So just get used to the world you're in, get a great support network of people who love you and care about you, got high character intelligence, and just enjoy your life. You can't wait 3 years, 4 years. Just crack on with what you're going to do. And if the people around you are there to support you and they love you and you do the same back, what's not to love about that?
Yeah. I love your perspective and outlook. I tell people the same thing. Focus on what you can control. Stop looking at things that stress you out and focus. This is my world. I stay inside of my world. I don't really go outside of my world. My world is very happy, very peaceful, very supportive. And you're right. That's all you really need at the end of the day. So,
exactly. And stop listening to the news. None of it tells you the complete truth. It just tells you what's going to sell them adverts. When my daughter is now 15 years old, Maya, she's 15. And I remember when she was 2 years old, one of the first lessons I told her when she was old enough to understand the rubbish dad's coming out with is, if you really believe in something and your heart is set on it, and your dad disagrees and your mum disagrees and your teachers disagree and your friends disagree, but you believe in it, you have my permission to tell us all to go and kiss it. Stick by your own principles and your own belief systems.
Yes.
And we don't get taught that.
No.
But she has been, and she's doing really well as a result of it.
Phenomenal. Dang, just out here making positive waves in the world, legacy creator, everything. Where can people find you, Dave? This conversation has been one of my favorites. You're amazing. Where can people find you?
Find me in a proper late night TV studio, which looks like this. There you see, that's what it looks like through my window. And you can find me on LinkedIn. I do more LinkedIn than anything else. So Dave Crane Dubai on LinkedIn. If you want to connect with me there, then you'll find details to join my Thought Leaders Network. And everybody's welcome as long as they're not, crazy. And also you can find what I do on speakonstage.com. That's my website. Awesome. And that's pretty much it. If you want to talk to me about working together, then speakonstage.com or bookdavecrane.com. That's got all my resume and videos and stuff on. So there we go. But LinkedIn's the easiest way to do it.
Gotcha. And guys, all of the links will be in the description of this video. And wow, this has been an honor and very enlightening. I mean, I feel great compliments. I mean, shoot, I just feel like I could end my day. I really could. Like, this conversation has been fantastic. And I can't wait. Yes, I can't wait to meet again in Dubai when I come back. And just thank you for taking the time out for this today. I appreciate it. I know my followers will appreciate it too. There's so many gems.
It's an honor to be able to chat with you. It's a shame we didn't connect, but I knew we'd get a chance to connect anyway. So if it happens like 6 weeks later, it doesn't matter. And when you come to Dubai, don't go off in the desert and don't go off in boats, and have a coffee with me. We'll have a proper chinwag. And it'll be amazing. And then make your plans on where you're going to live and where you're going to move over and you're going to start this life in Dubai. Because in our lifetime, there's very few places where you turn around and say, I mean, I've been waiting to leave Dubai now for 30 years to the point where I stopped thinking about it after 4 years. I thought, you know what, where am I going to go that's going to give me all this? If you leave your phone, and this is true, if you go into a restaurant or a coffee shop, you can put your phone on a table to say, this is my table, go to the bathroom, come back, and your phone is still there, and people respect that's your space.
Yes. Dollars even. You could put money, a purse. Crazy. I mean, I felt so safe there. That's such a different feeling when you're walking around looking over your shoulder every 5 seconds. Don't go out after dark. I'm 4'11". I can't be out here in the dark all by myself. You know what I'm saying? I'm always but there's oh my gosh, it's just, it takes so much space from your thought mind. Yes.
And
Well,
we'll
thank
catch
you.
up. We'll have a coffee and a cup of tea and some biscuits, and we'll talk about saving the world.
Yes. I love it. I love it. Well, thank you so much, Dave. I appreciate you so much. Thank you for the work that you're doing in the world. And yeah, guys, just make sure you follow him, hit him up. I mean, wow, my mind. So that's it.
Thank you so much. It's been an honor. And your team are excellent, by the way. I really had a good chat with your team before we started this. You've got, I wouldn't do the character intelligence. I just let them be who they are because they're actually really cool.
You know what? Rusty and Teresi Poo Poo, they're, you know, who have helped you this morning. They have been with me now for almost 4 years. They are from the Philippines. They met me in Dubai. You met them in Dubai. And no, they're going to be with me as long as they want to be with me forever. I'm like, no, you guys are like by my side forever. So we will also all be back in Dubai. So they travel with me.
Fantastic. I can't wait. I'm looking forward to it. You look after yourself, Elisabeth. You're a very special lady, and I'm proud to know you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dave. All right, guys. Well, that was another amazing conversation with Elisabeth Carson and Dave Crane. Until next time, peace, and love.
This podcast is for informational and entertainment purposes only. The views expressed are those of the hosts and guests and don't necessarily reflect those of the producers or affiliates. We do not guarantee the accuracy of the content. Please verify information and seek professional advice when needed. By listening, you agree not to hold us liable for any actions taken based on this content. Thank you for joining us on this journey. We hope you enjoy the episodes ahead. Love unlimited, feel unlimited.
Before we wrap, if you're done living in loop mode, the addictions, the emotional swings, the stuck seasons, start with a tool that actually shifts your state. Go to unlimitedmeditationpack.com and download the free pack I created. It's 5 targeted meditations with theta entrainment frequencies that drop you into the zone where real subconscious reprogramming happens. These sessions calm your system, clear the old patterns, and open you up to better health, better connections, more clarity, and a life that finally moves. Start there. unlimitedmeditationpack.com.